What's up guys, and welcome back to Tech Lab. So we've got something new to look at today in the form of a Fractal Design AIO. Now this one I've purchased for my personal rig, but I thought we'd take a look at it and see if they live up to the Fractal standard. Okay, so Fractal are very well known for the quality of their products, particularly in design and use. And this one in particular is from their new Lumen range. It's the Lumen S36, which means it's a 360mm radiator. We'll take a look at what you actually get. So, we've got the standard manual, tells you how to fit it to your CPU. Lots of protective padding, as always with Fractal. And then we've got our radiator and our block. Being the 360mm, we obviously get 320mm fans. These are Fractal fans and they look like hybrid ones, so Fractal fans are usually pretty good. And then we get a big bag of fittings. So in this bag, obviously we get the standard Intel fitting. And we've got the standard AMD fit in there. Now unfortunately I did look in this box beforehand and it doesn't actually come with the new LGA 1700. I'm sure Fractal are doing something about that and they'll probably send out kits to anybody that actually wants them. As far as the radiator goes, it's a 360mm radiator and it's got a 27mm thickness, so it'll pretty much fit in any kind of case. I did like the fact that the pipes on this one are over to the one side of the radiator, so depending on which way you fit it in your case means that you can actually probably get it hidden quite well. And the pipes themselves are 400mm long with rubber piping and braided cable, so they're going to look pretty nice. But that's not really the big selling feature for these. This one is actually pretty cool looking in terms of its block. Now unlike the other Fractal Design AIOs, this one doesn't use the ASEX design. It actually uses a pump built into the radiator, which means they've managed to get this block quite shallow in design. The block also is RGB, although I didn't opt for the RGB fan version. You can get one where the fans come and they're RGB themselves, but because I tend to replace the fans myself with nocturnes in my case anyway, I didn't bother with that one. Now the block itself being RGB means that you can actually rotate it. They give you the ability to just take it off the cap, rotate it around wherever you want it, and then you can insert the cap back. So it'll actually do a 45-degree angle all the way around and it'll just lock in just like that. So that's actually a pretty cool feature. The fans themselves that come with the radiator are obviously 120mm and you'll need 3 of them, and they come with the 4-pin PWM connection, and each one actually has a little extension on it, so you can take each fan and string it together and only use one header on your motherboard. Now the case that I'm going to be fitting these in actually has a built-in fan hub anyway, and I'll probably be connecting up to that with my nocturnes, but for now what we'll do is we'll build it up with the 120s and we'll drop it in the system and we'll see what it looks like. So like I said, we're going to use the standard fans now and then we'll see how it actually performs with the ones that come with it. I'm going to be fitting the fans on the inside, and I think I'll probably go that way round, so with the front of the case being this side, and I'll have the block going round somehow into the CPU. At the moment my other one is fit this way round, but I only run a 240mm Cooler Master and that's what we'll be comparing it against. So I want the fans on the inside blowing out. Okay, so we've got the fans fit and they fit absolutely perfect. There was no issues at all. We did give this a bit of a test and we plugged everything in, made sure that things run. Even if the fans are on full speed, they're very quiet. I'm really impressed with the fans that they've actually included with this. I assume the RGB version will be exactly the same. I may actually keep them instead of using my nocturnes anyway. I don't know yet. We'll see how the difference in noise once I install it into a case. The RGB on the actual block is fantastic. They've actually included in the cover is a black colour, so it's kind of dispersed in 2 different ways. The white disperses the light from behind and the black just gives it that real sophisticated look with or without lights on. And the fact that you can turn it around again is another brilliant thing from them, because there's so many out there that you can't rotate and you have to stick them the way that you do, or you have the pipes in a really, really weird place. But that's really cool. What we'll do is we'll get this installed now into the system, we'll get some colour scheme going, and we'll give it a test against the ML240R that I currently run in there from Cooler Master. So I'll just grab my machine and we'll see how it fares. So this is my system, and I've got fortunate enough to get away with having a Fractal Meshify 2, which means my case is going to be more than big enough to actually fit this in anywhere that I want. I can either fit it up the front or I can fit it in the top, which is where I'm actually going to be doing it. But this system is an AMD system, so one thing that I'll need to do is actually change the bracket on the cooler. We'll just take the plastic off and we'll pop it over there. Now the way to do this, according to the manual, is that we need to first release the Intel bracket off of the cooler. It seems to just click off. And we need to install an AMD version. Now the AMD one actually comes like this because it hooks onto the little hooks. I prefer these, lots of people don't. They prefer the ones that actually bolt through the system, but I actually like these. I don't think they look too bad. Now this bracket actually goes this way round, so it will slide straight onto it that way. But first we want to install the little hook systems that we've got just there, and they just go underneath, and then you'll have these 4 little spring things that will screw on top. You get 4 because I assume it fits the Intel one as well, but clearly for the hook system we only need 2. So we'll fit them on just like that. Then we simply slide the bracket back into place just like the Intel one. Now I've installed this so that the cable for the RGB, because that plugs in separately, you get an extra one there, goes in from the bottom, and what I'll do is I'll be able to loop it round and hide it away in the system at some point. So now what we need to do is remove the old one, which is really simple in a case like this. Simply the top comes off like that. We can remove the dust filtering in the Meshify 2, and then we can simply unscrew the top bracket and the whole thing will come out. We'll be able to fit the radiator in totally on its own, and then we'll hook it all up. Okay, so the old radiator and AIO system has now been removed, and we're ready to just screw this one straight onto the top panel to be installed again. They actually include lots of different screws for doing this. There's probably about 20 of them there. So we'll just install this into the top, and then we'll fit it onto the processor. Now the processor in this is an AMD Ryzen 7 3800X. This cooler is more than enough for it. And we don't need to reapply any more thermal paste, because obviously you get some on top of it as standard, and we're going to reuse that. We're just going to use that. We're not going to put any different ones on. But as we're fitting this, we'll make sure, because the pump is in the top, obviously it comes out here. We want to flip this over and make it come out the other side, because I want the cable to go out the back of the system with the rest of the fans. We will lower this down onto it and we'll just screw it in and install it up. Okay, so we've got it fully installed now, and it's actually super quiet. You can barely hear the fans at all, and obviously it's just idle at the moment, and we're going to do some testing, but you can't really hear the pump either. I mean, there's a little tiny whir in there, which I'm not sure whether you're going to get it louder because it's closer to the case or not, but it's actually not an annoying kind of noise. It's more of a little hum that's going down there, and it looks absolutely stunning. So what we're going to do next is we're going to give it a bit of a benchmark, and we've already done that with our 240 from Cooler Master, and we'll pop a chart up and we'll show you the difference that you get. Okay then, so what do we think all round? The cooler itself performs pretty well. As you can see from the results, we managed to knock a couple of degrees off the ML240R that I was currently using, and I'm sure probably with a 3 thermal paste reapply, something better than what they actually provide, you could probably get it a little bit better than that. It looks absolutely stunning. The RGB is just spot on. The block looks really premium, and the fans that are provided are really good. Some of the negatives on this would actually be around the cabling of those fans. They do give you the ability to link them all together, but to be honest, it didn't make it any easier to actually fit. It made it a little bit harder once you'd link them all together. So I'd suggest when you fit it, if you're using the standard fans, I'm going to go back to my Noctuas. But if you are going to use those standard fans, make sure you feed all the cables through to the back first and then link them all together. If you've got one of these, let me know in the comments what you think about it. Oh, and particularly if you've compared it to some of their Celsius range. Obviously, because of the way that the pump system is different on these, I'd be really interested to know what kind of effect it really has. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like these videos, and drop us a like if you like this one. Catch you again soon.